The dream of implementing a strategic project office requires a clear linkage between strategy and a portfolio of projects. As I continue the last part of Chapter 6 about managing change, my discussion will focus on the following: portfolio tools, startup examples, and lastly, working the plan. How do we effectively manage organizational priorities to reliably deliver the right outcomes? When we look at managing a portfolio, we look at what are the things we need to do to manage multiple projects or programs in our portfolio. A typical way to prioritize items is to brainstorm and then have people vote for their top favorites. Type the items into a computer, arrange them in categories, project them onto a whiteboard, and mark votes on the board. This does not, however, deal with varying degrees of interest or complexity. So a simple alternative is to list projects and criteria in a matrix. The figure shows a simple prioritization matrix. It is a simple tool where you create a set of criteria which should map to your business goals and use them to score your projects. Why? Well, you're trying to work out which projects are most important so that you can prioritize them. The spreadsheet computes the math. So this way, items that have major importance across the board start surfacing because they do not lose out of the popular vote. They may represent an excellent compromise. For example, Project 4 would not have made the cut because of low profit potential, but it has an excellent strategic fit and market growth and is valuable to keep in the portfolio. Here is how to use the matrix. Number 1. List projects in the left-hand column. The next step is to list the criteria in the top row, and you will going to weight each criterion as a percentage of 100. The third step is working vertically. You will going to evaluate each project on how well it meets each criterion. For the fourth step, you need to use a 1 to 5 scale. All you need to do is to multiply each cell by its weighting. You will going to add the product of the multiplication across the row. And the last one is at the end of each row is a total priority score. It indicates or sort the relative ranking. So the examples present a spreadsheet approach to the plan of record. You can also display the plan in project management software using one of the enterprise project management software packages available in the marketplace. Project management software are especially helpful to capture project data over an intranet, display either summary or detailed project information, and access reports from anywhere in the company. Some of the example of project management software is Monday.com and Write if you are familiar with it. But be careful of software that requires the entry of extensive project data before doing anything useful. People wary of this process before getting to the good stuff. Remember to start instead with a top-down approach. First is to structure the desired categories, and remember to prioritize projects that support what the organization should be doing. With a proposal plan, it captures more detailed project information from core teams that are assembled to determine feasibility. It reconciles efficacy of the portfolio, and this is how might the sample plan of record look like. Program startup entails multiple discrete processes. Continuing with the startup examples, one organization that incorporated elements of group effectiveness in its program startup efforts was Team Brazil, a wholly owned subsidiary of Telecom Italia Mobile. Team Brazil was the first Brazilian communications provider to move 100% of its IT workloads to the cloud as part of multi-cloud strategy. Moving to the cloud means easy data backup and recovery. Since your business information and resources are kept in the cloud, you are guaranteed to get access to them even if your laptop, smartphone, or tablet malfunctions. In 1999, the company won a bid to privatize part of the state-owned Brazilian telephone system. Team Brazil then set up headquarters in Rio de Janeiro to manage the installation and operations. These are the required activities that they did on their program startup. They set up offices in Brazil, they recruit project office personnel, they also develop detailed implementation plans, and the last one is they initiate operations. The Team Brazil Project Office, called Business Support and Integration, or also known as BSI, consists of 10 people responsible for accompanying the startup projects in Brazil. The BSI principal scope is to provide support and troubleshooting. This is to ensure that objectives are met within the established time frame. BSI primary functions are to promote integration, provide coordination, facilitation and support, and lastly, consolidate information. They also categorize their projects into three, namely the marketing mix, the client interface, and the business operation infrastructure. Team Brazil project activities include the following: finance and logistics, interconnectivity and roaming, market demand, value-added services, network processes and HR, information technology, call centers and indirect sales, market analysis, launch program, communication plan, network constructions, and direct sales. In November 2001, BSI director decided to carry out a two-day program aimed at creating a stronger team spirit with the group itself and with principal clients and interfaces. The event was hailed as a milestone in developing effective relations between BSI team members and client. Team Brazil illustrates the role of a project office with a project portfolio plus a startup process for managing expansion into a new territory. Another one that shows effectiveness in its program startup efforts was the Brazil in Action. In August 1996, the Brazilian government launched a program of 42 strategic projects designed to promote sustainable development and new investment and to reduce social inequities. 60% of the project launch are going toward improving the social welfare of the population, and the remainder aim at infrastructure projects. The key strategies for the program included careful selection of projects, use of project management approaches, and partnering agreements between the government and the private sector. Of the 42 initial projects, 25 met or exceeded initial objectives at the end of the 4-year period. The project chosen included those with a high probability of creating a more competitive economy, reducing production and commercial costs, eliminating bottlenecks, and improving qualifications of the labor force. And how was the project being managed? Let's talk about project management. Project management simply refers to the process of managing a project team and monitoring their activities to meet project goals. The program was managed by using an innovative approach not normally found in Brazilian government circles. A management by project philosophy was applied, which aimed at completing projects on time, within budget, and to specified requirements. The objective was to implement a results-oriented approach using modern management techniques, which are as follows. A project logic is used in organizing actions and tasks. Each project is assigned a project manager. Adequate resources are assigned to each project. Managers and project staff have online project information, and barriers are dealt through cooperation. These principles guided the management model. Each assigned project manager was held responsible for obtaining desired results, so a certain criteria was used for selecting managers, which includes leadership, negotiation skills, proactiveness, and troubleshooting abilities. Managers carried out their missions with great success, proving that there is a high degree of competence available in the public sector. So how was the project managed? They use an online management information system that is responsible in providing interconnections among project managers, partners, and government administrators. This allowed stakeholders to access up-to-date information on project status and apply timely corrective measures. To support the project and provide reliable tracking information, a task force was organized within the planning ministry. The task force used the management information system to provide information to various governmental levels so that decisions could be expedited and roadblocks could be removed. The task force hands-on management approach yielded dividends both for infrastructure project and social programs. The Brazilian action, finished in December 1999, set a new standard for project management in the Brazilian government. As a result of the groundbreaking success in the Brazilian action program, the Brazilian government budget system was altered to better reflect the interdisciplinary reality of projects program for the 2000 to 2003 period. The old functional criteria for budgeting gave way to a project-based approach more consistent with the nature of the projects. So project must make a significant contribution to improvement of society in some manner. And these are the criteria that govern the project selection under the Brazil in Action program. There are other roles a project office can play. Birkinshaw and Wood in 2001 suggest ways to unleash innovation, especially across geographical boundaries. And these are to give seed monies to subsidiaries, use formal requests for proposals, encourage subsidiaries to be incubators, and build international networks. These suggestions comes in response to observations that no one has a monopoly on great ideas. A project office needs to avoid positioning itself as a bureaucratic harpoon. This strategy, however, represents a risk that the new business may not achieve in planned status within the corporate portfolio. The critical success factor is typically how well the project champion is connected with other parts of the corporation. A key role for upper management teamwork is to serve as idea brokers, balancing the portfolio of business by staying connected via international networks. The project office can be conduit for these communication paths. Distance can also become a disadvantage. Levy in 2001 documented 5 steps to failure that first arose out of observing the Nat Island sewage treatment plant. Let me give you first a brief background about Nat Island. It is a small 5-acre former island in Boston Harbor that houses a sewage treatment facility. From 1960 to 1997, a team of 80 men and women operated the treatment plant with the task of protecting Boston Harbor from pollution. However, in 1982, this well-intentioned team released 3.7 billion gallons of raw sewage in the harbor and further contaminated the water with additional water treatment efforts. How could something like this have happened? As I researched more about it, the Nat Island effect is a management dynamic first outlined by Paul Levy, former executive director of Massachusetts Water Resources Authority, in a Harvard Business Review article titled "When Good Teams Go Wrong." In the article, Levy relates the systematic breakdown in communication within a wastewater treatment plant team, an organizational collapse that ultimately led to the pollution of Boston Harbor. Levy points out that the organizational patterns of Nat Island are not rare. In fact, he explains that they are quite common in other types of organizations. He reduces the team's destructive arc to 5 steps. The first one is management attention was riveted on high visibility problems. So it assigned a vital behind-the-scene task to an autonomous team that self-organized around a distinct identity. The second one is management ignored the team's request for help. The third one is an us against the world attitude, which developed into an isolation mentality, but management viewed the team's silence as a sign that all was well. The fourth one is the management did not expose the team to external perspectives and practices, so the team made up its own rules, which masked grave deficiencies in team performance. And the last one is the management and the team held distorted pictures of reality until external events broke the stalemate. The Nat Island program was finally disbanded after 30 years of effort, left Boston Harbor no cleaner than when the core team first came together. Levy also outlines primary tactics to stop the dysfunctional dynamics. The first is install performance measures and reward structures tied to internal operations and company-wide goals. This is more on reward mission-oriented rather than task-driven results. The second one is to establish a hands-on management presence. This is to detect early warnings of problems and give the team a sense that they matter and are listened to. The third is integrate team personnel with people from other parts of the organization. This is to expose them to new ideas and practices and encourage big picture thinking. And the last one is to rotate managers and workers to discourage institutionalization of bad habits. To what extent have you experienced these patterns in your organization? And what strategies have you used to improve communication between operators and management? In essence, a project-based organization supports multiple reporting relationships, shared accountability, shared rewards, team effort, and shared decision making, all capable of generating increased chaos. The project office is a facilitator of this culture and its salvation for creating results.